It's my feel-good breakfast show.
This week, as part of our focus on vitamin B deficiency and the treatment thereof, we're looking at the groups of people whose lifestyle choices or maybe circumstance place them more at risk of developing a deficiency in vitamin B. Joining us to help to understand who is more at risk is clinical dietitian Natalie Mat. Natalie, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing some steaks with you. We'll cook those in a moment. No, you brought a whole array of foods to, I think, hopefully explain to us some of the natural sources of vitamin B. But in our previous discussions, you started to break up people into groups of who could be deficient in vitamin B. Do you mind taking us back through that, just giving us a bit of a recap?
Certainly. So when it comes to vitamin B levels, your vitamin B levels might be low either due to low intake or because you are absorbing the amount of vitamin B inside your diet poorly. So who would be at risk of low intake? These are people who avoid some of these delicious foods as sources of vitamin Bs. And what we can see on this side of our display is that there's a lot of animal products here. So people who avoid all animal products, meat, dairy, eggs, those would be missing some B vitamins, particularly vitamin B12. And then people who don't absorb B vitamins very well include the elderly. As we get older, we don't absorb them quite as well. And also people who take a lot of medication. Depending on the medication, you might actually absorb less. The medication interferes with your ability to absorb B vitamins. And one last group who don't absorb very well are people who have digestive issues like inflammatory bowel disease, celiac disease, Crohn's, that type of thing.
So when we look at those food groups, where do we get our in other words, talk about the steak. I want to talk about the steak, please. Now, where can we find vitamin B naturally within food?
So as a dietitian, I always start with food, exactly as you are saying. And great sources of B vitamins are our legumes, lentils, chickpeas. They don't have to be the skinned ones. You can even use tinned beans. They are excellent. Another source that we have, and right next to it, is things like whole grains. So oats, whole grain cereals, whole grain breads, nuts and seeds will have a little bit in as well. And these all include a variety of B vitamins. Then when it comes to dark green leafy veggies, these are a natural source of folate, which is really important for pregnant women or women trying to fall pregnant. But when it comes to vitamin B12, B12 isn't found on this side of our display and much more in the meat products. So when people choose to restrict their intake of animal products, they can be healthy, but they need to be aware that the diet might not include sufficient amounts of B12. In that case, I would, as a dietitian, especially if it's a person who has higher requirements, maybe their energy levels aren't very good, they're feeling a little bit low, they should consider the option of supplementing and see how they feel. I
love that. Then, of course, on the other side of that scale, chronic medication, as we've discussed now at length, can have a massive effect on what's going on inside your body. And my mind has been blown to see how much that can draw from your system. Are there foods, specifically when looking at that kind of deficiency, when on long-term medication, chronic medication specifically, would you recommend a particular kind of diet for something like that?
No, you still want a balanced diet. You just have to understand how, if you're taking a medication, it might change your digestive system or your ability to absorb things. So people who take something to calm reflux, that does it by reducing the amount of stomach acid, and then you cannot absorb vitamin B12 because you need an acidic environment to remove the B12 from a protein.
How much of these vitamin B-rich foods do we need to eat?
So the first South African food-based dietary guideline is to enjoy a variety of foods, and diversity is honestly one of the keys to keeping your gut bacteria happy and to getting a variety of nutrients. So with a lot of our B vitamins, there is like one food that you could eat and you could get in a reasonable portion, you could get all of your requirements for the day, but you aren't just your B1 requirements and your B6 requirements. You are a whole person, and you also require fiber and you require water, and we want a rainbow. So I really don't focus on a single food. I want people to focus on getting a varied diet. If they can eat a rainbow every single day with their fresh produce, they are doing amazingly in terms of getting in that variety.
Thank you so much. Now we can get on to cooking our steak, but hopefully that's given you some guidance as how to approach your own diet and find balance, regardless of those lifestyle choices. It's all about understanding your body and finding balance. And you can join us next week as we continue our discussion around vitamin B and find out who else might be at risk or an increased risk of vitamin B deficiency.